Hello, hi, and very warm welcome to another show in the Westernacher webinar series about yard logistics. This time we prepared a webinar with a focus a little bit on the transportation transportation industry in UK and Ireland. So we will focus a little bit more on the UK and Ireland transportation networks. But before we are going into details, let's see who are our speakers today. So that's me. I'm Matthias Platzer. I'm the practice director for yard logistics in Europe from Westernacher. And with me here together is my eldest colleague from the SAP world, Stefan Tüllner. Maybe Stefan, you want to introduce yourself as well?
Hello, thanks, Matthias. Thank you for joining the call today. So we prepared some information for the yard logistics, as Matthias already said, and I'm really looking forward to the session today. And let's get started.
Yeah. So from the points that we are going to deal with today. So first of all, an introduction, mandatory, that you know what the topic is all about. But then we will go directly into the special topic today of the modal split in UK and Ireland, and why the road transportation is there from for a higher or in higher interest than in other countries. Then we will deal with our idea of digital yards, and the fourth part in today's webinar would be the holistic yard, the automation of yards. And of course, we will have some closing thoughts and a Q&A together. So as an introduction, welcome to the Westernacher webinar series. Westernacher is a global company, and you see that on the left-hand side on our global map. So the countries in blue would be our countries from where we have entities and where we are located in, and the in brighter blue colors, the countries would be where we deliver our projects to. And who are we? We are over 1,000 experts worldwide. We are 100% employee owned, and we are 55 years old. 55 years of innovation, and over 30 years of this 55 years, we focus on SAP implementations, and we are an SAP partner. So meaning that we focus on each and every solution SAP would offer. That starts with S4, FECO, so as we see here, finance and ERP. But we also have a very long history in the digital supply chain of SAP, meaning extended warehouse management, transportation management, and yard logistics. So we cover actually each and every area that SAP would offer, and we are offering our services to actually every company that want to make use of SAP solutions. Coming now to our yard logistics practice, Westernacher is organized in departments. Department would be a practice, and we would have our own practice with over 25 consultants worldwide, focusing on yard logistics topics, on yard logistics implementations. So far, we got over 25 successful engagements worldwide. This is including rollout programs. And we got over 6 years of yard experience, meaning since yard logistics is a rather new product in the SAP family, in the SAP family product family, and it's just 7 years old now, and we already got the 6 years of yard experience. We were really the pioneers there. And we can see this also on the next slide. We were the first partner of SAP worldwide that introduced a yard logistics practice. We were the first ones that actually did a go live with yard logistics, and we were the first ones in various industries focusing on yard logistics. We have the experience in automotive, in retail, in chemicals, and in the process industry. And from a country perspective, our first go lives were in Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and China. Our services that we offer would range from inspiration days, as you see on the left-hand side, and business cases and scoping workshops, to implementations. So if you go for either a single site implementation or already a template implementation and rollouts. But we also offer smaller packages, for example, a free trial support for yard logistics. So SAP is offering 30 days of free trial for the S4 yard logistics version. And we would do also a support in there where you can build up your own processes within 30 days and just learn from the very first touch point with yard logistics. And you see on the right-hand side our assets. So this is our accelerators that we would bring into our implementations. And you will see some of them then later on as examples in our presentation. So coming now to the next topic, we are focused on UK and Ireland today. We are focused on road transportation. We focus on road transport-based yards. Why? Yeah. So first of all, we need to identify two different trends, two principles in the supply chain theory. This is actually the background for the United Kingdom area and the Republic of Ireland. So first of all, a trend that we see for the last decades actually is that bulk cargo is in decline. Yeah, smaller shipment structures are actually the present. Yeah, so every company is doing shipments in smaller structures, so like packages and cargo units. We see this is also called the Amazon effect. Yeah, so meaning the smaller the shipment structure, the more you would go for smaller transportation units, for smaller transportation equipment, meaning trucks. Bulk cargo is in decline, so not only in the UK and the Republic of Ireland, but if you look back, yeah, in the United Kingdom, maybe 50 years ago, you would still see heavy coal shipments, bulk shipments going out of the UK to all over the world by trains, transported by trains within of United Kingdom, then later on by vessels. Those bulk structures still exist, but of course not in that quantities as it has been, yeah, 50 years ago. Yeah, so this first trend also is already leading to a focus on road transportation, on trucks, and even smaller than trucks, vans. And we see another, yeah, global trend or global principle of the supply chain theory, that the shorter the distance, the more likely it is that it is covered by road transportation. Why? It's the more cheaper option. Yeah, and one ballpark number here is everything that is shorter than 350 kilometers in transportation would mean it's easier to organize and it's cheaper to organize when you use trucks rather than railway transportation or inland navigation. Yeah. So these two key principles actually lead to the situation in the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland. And we can also see this when we just look at the modal split. So this is now the modal split. So the split of inland freight transportation in average in the European Union in 2020. So the goods moved in percentage per mode of transport. We see also in the European Union that is very heavily based on road transportation. So 78% is already road transportation, 17% is railway transportation in the average throughout the European Union. When we now look into the UK numbers, we see that road is even more important. Yeah, we already got 81% road transportation here, but we also got 12% road transportation in 2022. These are the numbers for 2022. And this is also in UK, there was quite a trend to going back to rail transportation since 2006. So in 2006, we still saw like in the modal split less than 5% rail transportation. Now we are back at 12%. So these numbers increased, yeah, over the last 10 years, over the last 15 years. Now they will, yeah, they will be at this level for the next couple of years. There's not more, you can't really increase that any longer. For the Republic of Ireland, we see that 99% actually of the inland freight transportation is transported via road transportation by truck. Yeah, So rail only got 1%. So it's just some routes within the Republic of Ireland where you could use rail transportation at all. So meaning those two areas are heavily, these two countries are heavily focused on road transportation. Why is that important for yards? Yeah, as we see, we have a very straightforward process within a yard when it comes to truck transportation. Yeah, and when 99% of all your shipments and when or 81% of all your transportation is routed via road transportation, of course, you need to work on your internal processes. You need to automate those processes within the yards to, just to ensure that you have lower costs, that you have a better handling effectiveness, yeah, and that you shorten also the handling times and the turnover times for these trucks within your yards. Yeah. And when it comes to road transportation and to truck transportation, there are very good optimization points that you could use, yeah, for your sites, for your plants, for your manufacturing compounds, and so on. Yeah. Let's go to the introduction of digital yards. What do we mean with digital yards? Here is our idea, yeah, or our roadmap actually, what we categorize as different types of yards. We start at the very bottom with the manual yard. So this is actually the starting point for each and every yard. So we are talking about manual and paper-based processes. We don't have any IT system in place. Yeah? So very heavy manual effort to get through the process. Yeah? The next one is the semi-digital yard, where we already have some kind of support, IT support, but we would only have isolated solutions. Yeah, we don't have an overall coverage. We don't have an end-to-end coverage within the yard. Meaning, for example, this could be that the weighbridge system is installed. Yeah, but for example, nothing when it comes to barriers. So meaning a truck would still check in manually, would move to a weighbridge system, would then be having this solution, would be weighed digitally, but then back again, it's manually to maintain the inbound weighing or the outgoing weighing then in the system. The digital yard would be the next step, where we have an end-to-end process integration and where we also have a mobile scenario. So everything within the yard would be digitally supported. And then the last step, or the last level of evolution, yeah, is the holistic yard, and Stefan will give us some insights then about the holistic yard. Going into some examples, yeah, we are now back on the first level, the manual yard. This is usually how it works with labor distribution in there. Yeah, so we would have a central office. The central office and a central planner in this office would dispatch a job by radio communication to the worker, to the yard worker outside who actually performs the job. Or even worse, there is no radio communication at all. The worker needs to go into the central office and take instructions for his or her job. And then after walking into the office, getting the job, getting back out, walking over there again to where the job should actually happen. He performs the job, he documents this on pen and paper, yeah, and then give manual feedback again to the central office. This is once again either by radio communication or directly walking into the office. And there's of course from the central planner, yeah, we would have a manual documentation. So everything that was documented outside is once again documented inside. The idea of the digital yard, it's something else, yeah, that you have a system in place that would automatically assign the jobs to the outside workers. The outside workers would receive their job details on the mobile device without having manual communication, without having to go back to an office. The worker performs the job is logged on the device. This can either be done already completely automatically, or the the user, so in this case the yard worker, would log the job details. But in any case, all the feedback is automatically sent back to the system, and we have an automated documentation in the system. So you see, with this technical support, with these mobile scenarios, and with the system-driven process, we already have a lot less of effort in handling of any jobs, actually. Then one example I want to bring in here would be one of our mobile scenarios for a truck and trailer inspection. So what usually needs to be inspected depends a little bit on the countries as well. Yeah. But for example, for a typical UK yard, what we need to check when we do an inspection, we would need to check the license plate. We would need to inspect and document visible damages on the truck, even before the loading or after the loading. We want to take a picture, yeah, and maybe we also want to answer some questions. So there would be a questionnaire available whether this truck is suitable for certain types of cargo and so on. Yeah, instead of doing this all manually, yeah, we do this digitally, and also we can have the worker and the external truck driver sign this digitally. This would be the example actually given out of yard logistics, of SAP yard logistics, in combination with the Westernacher asset. This is a truck and trailer inspection that would feature exactly every logging detail, every documentation that I just mentioned in a digital way with automated feedback to the system. This is the example of a so-called questionnaire. Those questions can be just added to each and every process step, depending on certain cargo types. Yeah, meaning if packages are being loaded, there would be different questions to be answered by the workers than in comparison when there's bulk cargo to be loaded and so on. But still, everything is documented digitally. Another example would be the container gas certificate, also something that happens very often in container terminals or whenever we have an inbound transportation with containers, where we just need to inspect this overseas container on gas or on gas levels within the container. So once again, what needs to be done? We need to take a picture, we need to answer a questionnaire, we need to measure the gas concentration, document the gas concentration, and of course, which for every container, we would need to document the ceilings. Then later on, move the container into storage. This is the example here. This is in this case a standard application from SAP Yard Logistics, the so-called yard task execution. And as you see, the questionnaire is once again directly answered within the mobile app. The measurements are documented directly here. Yeah, as we see, we have a value of the gas concentration in the air. Everything with automated feedback into the system and documented in the system until it's archived in a couple of years. So you can always revert back in case there are inquiries from legal perspective or other inquiries, reporting inquiries. This would still be possible to be evaluated years after. This was all still with manual effort. Yeah. Now we go a little bit back into the automation, no, not back, we're going further into automation. I'm handing now over to Stefan, who will give us guidance into the holistic yard and to the automated yards. Stefan?
Thanks, Matthias. So what we can see here is just an example. So every process can look a bit different on each and every site, depending on your requirements and details. But what we can see here is 5 major steps, so to say. The first one is the truck arrival at the gate. What can happen there? So we can be supported by different types of devices, like an OCR device to reckon automatically the truck license plate, for example, or the container number and stuff like this. And the big advantage here is to give the driver a helping hand. And the helping hand means he gets support by the system. For example, with a guided procedure in the system for doing a self-check-in. So nobody from your side will be in touch with that. So you will involve your partner, who is the carrier or the driver in that step, you give this responsibility over, so that leads you to have not that much work with all the incoming trucks. And what could happen in such a guided procedure? The driver can give you some information up front. For example, what was this previous loaded cargo, and for what reason? Because maybe you need to clean the truck up front because you need to clean it up before loading another good inside this truck. Also, the equipment condition can be checked during that step, and as well license and expiration dates for the truck and the driver. For example, when we are driving dangerous goods, we need to have some certificates for the driver that needs to be checked all the time. So all those data is already collected as soon as the driver has entered the yard the first time. Coming to the next step, all those information which I spoke is processed in the background. So there are functions and checks in the background who checks, okay, is the truck allowed to enter my site? Is the driver allowed to enter my site? And also giving some information about the route. So if the driver is not familiar with your site, the system can give you automatically, based on the product which he's bringing, to which site or to which loading point he needs to drive. So that means we have a direct communication in the system. Then the loading or unloading, that can happen as well in an automatic way. When you think about handling QR codes, having a loading station which is having like a QR code reader to get the information, who is now at my loading station, what kind of product does he need, which tonnage do he need, and all those stuff can be automatically happen in the background, so that nobody of your staff is involved in that. But yeah, for sure, it depends also about your physical background on site, which kind of devices you would like to have. After all those processes, there is the fourth step. The system is automatically logs all the execution data. So when does the loading happen? How long does it take? Maybe the driver needs to wait up front before loading certain times. So that means there must be a payment in the background. So all this data is taken into consideration. And after all that, we just have the truck checkout. So the truck is leaving your site. That can also happen with OCR devices, with QR code readers. So there are different ways. We are saying, yeah, there are different ways they lead to Rome. So it's not written in stone. It really depends on your detailed side, I would say. Here are just an example how we can deal with the self check-in. Self check-in means you give the responsibility over to the driver, so he is responsible about the information he gives you. But the system will support also the driver. We also know in each and every country there is a problem with different languages. So we are helping the driver here, for example, to choose his own language so that he's getting familiar and he can read all the information he needs to have. It's a guided procedure, so the driver knows exactly upfront which steps he needs to perform during such a self-check-in procedure. And of course, we are also able to customize that. So also this one is not written in stone. If you have special steps in between, that's not a problem for such a self-check-in procedure. It's also relevant to provide driver data, his first name, his last name, for example, his phone number. If you want to give him automatically information about waiting times, station he needs to drive through, then you can communicate with this mobile number with his or to his mobile phone, just for an example. What we can also collect here is information about the trailers, for example, or the deliveries. So all this information can be collected upfront so that it's very clear what the driver or the truck needs to do on your side, either loading, either unloading, all this kind of stuff. But that's just an example. If we are going to the next point in that holistic yard area, that is also an example how a registration can look like in another way. So we are using now different kind of physical devices. For example, if the driver is booking upfront a time slot at your site, with the help with BM4L, for example, or our own slot booking app in SAP. So that gives you the flexibility to see who's coming tomorrow, who's coming the day after tomorrow, for example. Can also give you some informations up front. What is he bringing? Maybe some other details around that transport. And when you see coming to the next point, we can also use the geofencing for upfront registration. So if you, for example, do not have the possibility to build up big terminals or having an own office where the driver can do the self-check-in, it's also possible to use that on a mobile device, on his mobile phone, for example. And what we try to explain here is, if we use a geofence, we can easily get this information as soon as the truck has crossed the fence. Then he's allowed to get upfront an information about the check-in. So he's getting a QR code for the barriers at your site, as an example. In addition, further processing can be triggered, like packaging of goods upfront. So that means if you don't want to lose time on your site and you want to handle the driver as fast as you can also use a function that as soon as he crosses another geofence, that you are going to pick the stuff out of the warehouse and bring it to the door. So you don't lose time to shortly or to fastly load the truck again. And coming to the third place here, also this QR code can deal with your physical devices on your site, like the barriers, like a weighing bridge, what Matthias said in the previous slides. So all those things can be automated. Nobody needs to stand in front of a barrier, needs to stand in front of a weighing bridge to check if he's doing that correctly. Also, the system can guide you, hey, your truck is not standing correctly on the weighing bridge, you need to turn a bit back or a bit forth. So all those things can be available in a holistic yard. So during this shelf check-in, there could be some other issues as well. So for example, the driver needs to wear a helmet on your side. The driver needs to wear safety shoes. So that's also another big advantage. So the driver gets it in its own language. There is no need to translate. There is no excuse, oh, I didn't understand that, because everybody gets it in its own language. And as Matthias already said, you can also say, okay, you need to sign that afterwards, that you really understand what you need to do here on my side and which kind of regulation you need to take. For example, you are not allowed to speed more than 10 kilometers on my side. So all this gives you the possibility to communicate in an automatic way with the driver, to let him know what you need to wear, what you need to do here on my side, how to behave on my side. And all this can be covered in a self-check-in procedure as well. And if we are coming to the next slide, to give you another example, what Matthias was already speaking about was this vehicle inspection. That could be also something what you can give over to another partner or your internal staff, which is on your side, to check, for example, the trucks or the load of the trucks. Everything is saved in a digital way, so you can report that afterwards. You can give this over to other people if it's necessary. for example, something is damaged, container is damaged, leads us to drive the container to a repair station first. All those things can be done with this automatic or this digital way to work on site. Also, the point which we had up front with the cleaning. So you can choose or give the responsibility to the user to check the trailer if it's cleaned or not. If it's not cleaned, it's going to another, or it's used like a trigger to follow a next action. So all those things can be automatically, or yeah, you decide what steps in detail a driver needs to do on your side, or the internal clerks needs to do on your side. And if we go to the next slide, we see some details around this inspection as well. You know, it's every time hard to explain where's my damage, what is damaged in detail. Is it the front, is it the back of the truck or the container? So we have the possibility based on your transportation unit type, could be a rail car, could be a truck, could be a vessel or something like this. And you can easily mark what exactly is damaged. You can mark that in a visualized way. And of course, you have a lot of advantages. You minimize the number of claims for damages, for example. And of course, you save time and increase efficiency. So if you have everything on the digital way, and also answering some questions to also use that as a trigger to do follow-up actions. And I think that's every time a big advantage to know upfront, okay, tomorrow I need to clean up the car or I need to repair something because I'm not able to drive that truck outside my yard, just as an example. And what else can be in an holistic yard? So we see that on the next slide when we are going to see here a driver app. What I said up front. So there are so many ways which we can go to make a yard more digitalized, is to give over the driver the possibility to download a driver app where he can register. He sees in detail what he needs to do. You see in this first picture, there are different steps he needs to perform during his stay on the site. For example, he needs to do the check-in at first. Then he needs to do the inbound weighing to get the actual weight of a truck. Then you see directly if he's arriving at the door so that the other clerks know, the truck is directly close to my loading area. I can know now starting the unloading. And one more, and he also gets involved into the process. As you see, there is a start task button, for example. So he can actively give the system the sign, now I'm driving to the next point, or now I'm starting the unloading or the loading. So you're also getting this partner more involved into the process, and nobody on your side needs to deal with that. What you see on the third screen is here, also give the driver the possibility to get more familiar with your yard, showing him where to drive. Could be different way to drive. Maybe he got dangerous goods, you need to drive to another station. Could be not dangerous goods, so you need to go to another warehouse. So also in that case, we are helping the driver with navigation on your side directly and involve him much into the process. And we see, and afterwards we can see on the next slide during the self-loading procedure. That's also just an example how that can work. So you give over the whole responsibility to the user or to the driver. He is arriving at a loading station. He shows at the loading station his actual QR code. Inside this QR code, everything is saved. The system knows directly he needs to load 10 tons of that product. Maybe he needs to do a check afterwards. So he got like a guided procedure also during the loading. But as I said, it's always depending on your site and what kind of physical hardware you have already or you would like to introduce later on. So that's just seen as an example how to deal with that, using a device directly at the loading station to start the loading. The filling machine is automatically loading the container or the goods on your truck, and he can guide through this loading process to make that automatically. And this is now all a bit working with apps, with mobile devices, but when we are coming to the next slide, we can also see that we have also other possibilities in our yard logistics. We can have a 3D visualization. That means you see directly in a visualized way, where's my truck? Is he at the loading station or is he on the way to the loading station? You can react on any exceptions, for example. If the door is already occupied, you can lead him to another door. And just using this graphical interface, using drag and drop, using the mouse for mouse over effect to see what is happening in the truck with the truck in the next hour. Is he going to unload? And what kind of stuff is he going to unload? And which quantity? Who's the driver? Need to call? Maybe I need to call him. So I just go to the truck and see the mobile device number, for example, from the truck driver to directly connect to him. Could be a possibility. And all this is covered in yard logistics. So we can visualize your whole yard, that you have the full transparency on your side to see what is happening in detail. It depends also how you're working on your side. There are companies, they would like to work in a more visualized way, and that is helping here. Or you would like to work in more list views and stuff like this. So also for that processes, everything is available in yard logistics. But when we think about, for example, a big truck site with a lot of warehouses, then it could be difficult to find where's my truck and stuff like this. So you have the possibility to directly search in this visualization for my truck, for my driver. It's going to be highlighted in another color. So there are also a lot of possibilities also to mark the different trailers in different colors based on their product or their product group, so that you see directly where is my dangerous goods stored, where is my palletized goods stored, where's my brake bulk stored. So everything can be captured and visualized here in this yard cockpit. And as well, one point which is also very important is the reporting. So when we are coming to the next slide, we see a typical dashboard for yard logistics, which is developed by Westernacher here in that case. So you see everything on one slide. How is the carrier performing? How is the loading station performing? What is my average time for a typical loading process, or maybe for a special goods loading process? So there could be different things you would like to measure and you would like to highlight, or you would like to see after a week or every day to see, okay, how did I perform inside my yard? Please show me all the things directly on one screen. And here is also your mouse is helping you to get more details if you fly over certain points and stuff like this. But coming to the last point, from my point, also AI, so artificial intelligence, is also a very important point in yard logistics. And therefore we have different kinds of examples prepared. For example, predictive maintenance. How is the AI helping you here? As an example, SAP Yard Logistics can predict when yard equipment, for example, a forklift, cranes, is likely to fail based on historical data and real-time sensor information. This allows for proactive maintenance scheduling, reducing downtime and maintenance costs. Coming to another point, intelligent scheduling and dispatching. AI can analyze real-time data from various sources, traffic conditions, and stuff like this to optimize your schedule and the dispatching of trucks. This ensures that the right truck is at the right place at the right time, minimizing waiting times, improving overall efficiency. So all these points can be handled with using the AI in such a topic. Also coming to autonomous vehicle management. AI-driven autonomous vehicles can be deployed within the yard to transport goods between locations from A to B. These vehicles use machine learning algorithm to navigate the yard, avoid obstacles, optimize their routes, enhancing safety and efficiency. As another example, anomaly detection. The AI algorithm can continuously monitor yard operations to detect anomalies, such as unusual delays, deviations from standard process, or potential security breaches. Early detection allows for timely intervention, preventing potential issues from escalating. So all those things can be done here. And coming to one last point, resource optimization, for example. AI can analyze historical and real-time data to optimize the allocation of yard resources, such as labor, equipment, storage space. This ensures that resources are used efficiently, reducing costs, improving operational performance. Here you see there's a lot which can be done in this yard logistics, and especially with using AI. But yeah, that's just a short view on all those topics. And of course, we can talk further about those topics in detail for sure.
Yeah, let's go further. Actually, to the closing thoughts, we are almost at the end of our session, of our webinar today. So
yeah, yes, and I see some questions, Matthias.
Yeah, wait. First of all, just the closing thoughts from our side again. And then afterwards we can do the Q&A. We still have some time left. Just to get back to this evolution of yards, I think you have now understood what we think is the evolutionary step in developing your yard to get to an holistic yard. Yeah, we came from the manual yard. We have shown some examples of the digital yard, and in detail now the full automation of the holistic yard, where actually all the processes, or the goal is that every process is taken over by external staff, that internal staff is no longer involved in this, and internal staff would only be there for supervision and in actually in cases of exceptions, to be honest. And what are the benefits when we go there? I just go to the typical results that we see in our projects. Would be faster turnaround times, would be reduced waiting times, would be, of course, an increased yard utilization, because you can use your infrastructure more optimal, yeah, and of course the optimized internal workflows. And since there are questions, yeah, we should go to the Q&A. I can't see now since I'm presenting the questions, but maybe Stefan, you can
yeah,
point them out.
I can read it. So first question is, since yard logistics is multimodal, how can other tracking objects be included? For example, finished vehicles.
Okay, I'm going to answer this. So we have, it's already in there in the question, yard logistics is multimodal. So we are not only focusing or capturing trucks in there. So it is always a possibility to include other forms of transportation. Yeah, this includes every transport equipment that you can see in a yard, and this includes finished vehicles. Yeah, it's a little bit different than finished vehicles would drive on their own, most likely. Yeah, there would be like active resources on the yard, but still they are reflected. Yeah, and it's not only about the reflection of the objective or of what needs to be tracked. It's all about the business process behind. So you have seen a lot of examples today about truck handling, yeah, the processes in truck handling processes. When it comes to finished vehicles, for example, there would be other business processes, other business scenarios set up in yard logistics to cover those, let's call it sub-processes of the yard. Meaning there are other steps, of course, there are other areas to move to, there are other inspections, there are other things that need to be evaluated by the system. And this can be covered by yard logistics since this is a very flexible solution. Hope that answered the question. Otherwise, just raise a subsequent question.
Coming to another question, can yard logistics be set up together with warehouse management software? So I can take over that, Matthias, if you want. Yeah. Of course, it can, and it's foreseen to work together with EWM, for example. So SAP already had standard functionalities to communicate with your warehouse. For example, letting warehouse know that the truck arrived at the door, letting EWM or warehouse know that you leave the door, and the other way around. Let us know when you have finished the loading process or the unloading process. So this is very close together, and it's like a clock. So EWM or warehouse management and yard logistics both is a process on one side and can be connected together and should be connected together if you are using that to get the most out of it, I would say. And one last question which we received is yard logistics the S4 name of yard management?
I'm going to answer this because this is SAP licensed terminology and so on. Actually, yard logistics is the replacement of the so-called old yard management. Yeah, meaning yard management was a very basic solution to cover basic processes within the yard, not to cover but to log them. Yeah. This was replaced actually with the introduction of yard logistics by SAP. Yeah, so yard logistics is the active replacement of yard management. Actually, also in the upcoming releases then of extended warehouse management and so on. Yeah, so meaning yard management, when we go into SAP terminology, is being phased out over the next couple of years. And yard logistics as an embedded system will then directly sit in the core, of S4 and just take over the processes as transportation management would do or extended warehouse management would do. Okay. Hopefully this answered the question. Any more?
No, that was just those 3 questions till now.
Yeah. Okay.
But if there are further questions later on, don't hesitate to contact us. So yeah, we would like to try to answer your questions and maybe your ideas. So just let us know.
Exactly. So you see our contact details here. You can reach out to us at any point in time or connect with us on LinkedIn. And we are happy to either answer your questions or you can also schedule a follow-up call with us and where we go into details about your specific requirements. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for the attendance. And let's see each other then in the next webinar or in the next call that we have together. Thank you so much and have a nice Thursday. And for our American guests that will then watch this later on, happy Independence Day for you.
Cheers for the nice words. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
Bye.